Hey everyone, my name is Kevin DeWalt, co-founder of ProLego. Last year, Russ and I released the world's first AI comic book called Adventures in AI. It tells the story of how a data scientist saves a day at her company with a natural language processing model at her life insurance company. So we got tremendous feedback from lots of people who read it. Thank you everyone for your kind notes. We also had a number of people ask us, why did you make a comic about AI? This obviously takes a ton of work and time. What was the motivation for this? And so, as it turns out, that the comics are really good for telling stories about AI. And so, then you're probably wondering, well, why are stories important for AI? Well, as it turns out, the hardest part of AI is not the technology, although the tech is quite hard. The biggest challenge that most AI leaders find is actually changing the organization. And if you think about what it takes to build, launch, and support, deploy, and get use from a new AI model at your company, it takes getting buy-in from dozens of people to get people excited about the vision, to get them to fund it, to get them to build it, deploy it, to change their behavior. And if you don't get the entire organization galvanized around trying to make an AI model successful, they usually don't. It takes forever, and they usually don't work very well. And it turns out that comics are particularly good at this. We've made a couple of them for our corporate clients who've used comics as part of their larger AI strategy. So instead of trying to give people a huge PowerPoint deck or a massive strategy document, they give them something like a comic because it's a lot easier to read and it helps people get excited about the AI program. Just a couple of quick comments about the comic. One of the most interesting points of feedback and one of the reasons why people like it is because of the characters involved, and the relationship between the characters really makes the story. In particular, Laurie Santos is our data scientist and the hero of the story. And Laurie is a flawed character. She's got a big brain and a big ego to go along with it. And the reaction to Laurie has really been interesting. I've had a number of business people contact us and say, hey, I love the story, but I couldn't stand your data scientist. I mean, she's just so egotistical. I just found her insufferable. And I've had other data scientists contact me and say, oh my God, I love Laurie. I can understand Laurie's frustrations. That's how I feel every day. And so it's these type of stories about the characters that really get people excited about the story and get people to buy into it emotionally. As far as results, it's been fantastic for us. I think what we've discovered, and one of our motivations for creating it, was that it's really hard to get people, especially insurance companies, to understand what NLP can do, why it's so new, and why it's just going to have such a disruptive impact on a business. And the story allows us to go through a step-by-step process and explain that. And so now when we're talking to someone about ways to use natural language processing in their company, you can just send them a comic book and the story will help bring the whole example to life for them. So I hope this was helpful. If you are creating a large corporate AI strategy and you're thinking about ways of incorporating comics, you have some questions, please feel free to contact Russ and I. We'll try to give you some advice. Thanks a lot.